welcome to the channel of Don't Be Scared, Fool. This is top 5 scary stories of dead prostitutes. I was doing some research and I came across some stories and I felt like it was something I should share with everybody since it was pretty interesting when I came across it. Usually when I look at stories, when I look up on the internet, when I do my own personal research against the paranormal, I usually look up things such as Bigfoot, aliens, but this time I'm going to switch it up, start with the ghost stories. So I hope y'all like it. If you like it, leave a comment below. Go ahead, give me a like. But let's get to it. Okay, so the first one we're going to talk about is this woman named Miss Elizabeth and her infant child. This apparently took place in Goldfield, Nevada. So at the beginning of the 20th century, in Goldfield, Nevada, it was a prosperous mining town at that point, where thousands would settle just a dream of striking the rich. And the Goldfield Hotel, it was built over a mine shaft, and it still remains there to this day, along with some of the hotel resentful spirits. And apparently, there was a suicide in the hotel in 1915, which has been associated with ghostly sightings. The most disturbing part of the story occurred in the room 109. George Winfield, the hotel original owner, was having an affair with a prostitute named Elizabeth, who unintentionally became pregnant. So, amid fears of the public scrutiny, Winfield chained Elizabeth to a radiator in room 109, keeping her hidden from public view. And many months goes by, and then the baby was finally born. And once Winfield found out, Winfield allegedly threw this baby down the mine shaft into the basement, and it left Elizabeth chained up to the radiator to die. Ever since, many visitors have reported seeing Elizabeth in room 109, feeling her icy presence. A baby cries can also be heard echoing from that room. In this story, this is going to take place in the 1920s and the 1930s. Jerome, Arizona. It was a mining town that basically captured the image of the Old West. The streets were lined up with saloons, drunken miners, brothels and town red light districts. One of the ladies that night was Sammy Dean. She was stunningly beautiful, even by today's standards, and acquired many admirers. On July 10th of 1931, Dean's lifeless body was found on the floor of her room in a section of town known as Husband Alley. She had been beaten and strangled to death. Initially, police suspected that the robbery was the motive of her death, as Dean was known to carry a large amount of cash on her at all times. When her body was found, all the cash was missing from her purse. In the years following Dean's death, reports of apparitions in Husband Alley began to surface. Some claim that a female spirit roamed during the night. There was also reports of spectral voices in the empty inns and alleyways, slamming doors, persistent scents of perfume, strange shadows and the feeling of being watched, and phantom footsteps echoing down the cobblestones and dirt roads. To this day, Jerome is known as a ghost town that turns even the most skeptics critics into believers. The identity of Sammy Dean's killer remains a mystery. This time, it's taking place at 1850 at the Franklin Hotel in Strawberry Point, Iowa. It has many shares of visitors, some whose souls may still remain, given the hotel's history. Many people flock to it in hopes of spotting Lily, the town's most known resident. According to local legend, Lily was a prostitute who entertained in room 7 at the hotel. Although it's unknown how she met her demise, her spirit is still not at rest. Many visitors have reported seeing a sad, uncomfortable presence in room 7, as well as hearing strange noises. One gentleman who lived in the hotel for 42 years had often heard singing, moaning, coming from the room above him, even though the room was vacant at the time. Here we got Miss Josie Arlington from New Orleans. After losing her mother in 1868, Josie Arlington felt like her life was destined to be full of pain and hardship. She became an orphan at 4 years old. Her hometown of New Orleans provided no support for her struggles, so she turned to prostitution in a red light district in her teens. She made a name for herself and became known for being violent and aggressive. On an occasion, she supposedly bit off the ear and lips of a fellow prostitute. Later, her brother was murdered by a pimp who worked in the same brothel as she did. Eventually, she decided to change her life. Regardless, she was never accepted by the upper class. which is something she was desperately wanted, all the way up following to her death in 1914. Apparitions began to appear at her tomb, which quickly became the busy spot for paranormal activity. Her tomb to say had burst into flames in front of terrified spectators, so it was dubbed the Flame Tomb. Now, in this story, is about the headless woman at the Glen Tavern Inn. Since the early 1900s, this hotel had numerous stories of ghosts who refused to leave. This story includes a girl with blonde braids who wandered in the room of unsuspected guests, and is often mistaken for a lost child. Guests who want to catch a glimpse of the paranormal are especially drawn to the room 218, 306, and 307. Contractors also fled the property after seeing children playing in the halls and then disappearing into the walls. However, the most chilling stories came from the room 307, where the spirit woman still lingers to this day. Apparently, the identified woman was also a prostitute who was murdered and beheaded. Several days later, a maid found her body stuffed in a closet. Reports of cold chills, knocking sounds, and echoing voices with the eerie mist persist to this day. Well, there you go, fool. I hope you like the stories. Those are the top 5 scary stories of dead prostitutes. I'm gonna bring you some more stories, fool. If y'all liking this content, let me know. If you want me to cover something that you want me to talk about, such as UFOs, Bigfoot, more ghost stories, leave a comment below, and I will try to bring you the best stories I can find, because I'm here to scare you fools. So, if y'all mess with my content, show some love. I would greatly appreciate it. In this new channel, we're here to grow together, you know what I'm saying? So, don't be scared, fool.
You're a fool.